You crossed the line when you chose him. From here on, every consequence is yours.
My wife kept saying I was paranoid. Then I heard her whisper another man's name in her sleep. By morning, I knew two things. She betrayed me, and she had no idea what I was about to do next. That was the first time I realized how quiet a house can be when your world is falling apart. Her name is Ashley. To everyone else, she's the sweet, charming, Instagram-perfect wife with the fake smile and the fake "I'm so proud of my husband" captions. To me, that night, she was just a stranger lying in my bed, breathing softly like she hadn't just stabbed me in the chest without lifting a finger. It started at 2:37 a.m. I know the exact time because when you hear your life crack, your brain records every stupid detail. I woke up because she kicked me in her sleep. Annoyed, I turned over, ready to grumble something and go back to bed. That's when I heard it. Barely a whisper, like a secret she thought the dark would keep for her. Tyler. Soft, tender, the kind of voice she used to save for me, back when I was still the hero in her story. My heart didn't just drop, it shattered one slow piece at a time. I froze. I didn't move, didn't breathe. I just stared at the ceiling, listening, hoping I'd misheard. But she murmured it again. Tyler. Don't stop. I felt my stomach twist. I knew that name. Tyler wasn't a cousin. He wasn't some old family friend. Tyler was her new trainer from work. The guy she swore was just helping her with her health journey, while rolling her eyes and calling me insecure. Paranoid. That was her favorite word lately. Jake, you're paranoid. Jake, you're imagining things. Jake, not everything is about you. Therapy might help, you know? Every time she said it, she smiled that condescending little smile, like she was above me. Like she was the sane one and I was the crazy husband who couldn't handle a confident wife with male friends. Yeah. Confident. That's one way to name it. She shifted in bed, turning her back to me, pulling the blanket around her like a cocoon, like she needed protection from the man paying the mortgage. I lay there, staring at the digital clock as the minutes crawled. 2:38, 2:41, 2:50. My chest was burning, but my head was ice cold. That's how I knew something inside me had snapped for good. You know what the worst part was? Not the name. Not even the tone she used. It was the realization that this wasn't the first time. You don't accidentally whisper another guy's name in your sleep the very first night you start doing something behind your husband's back. No. This was practice. This was repetition. This was muscle memory. She'd been living a double life right in front of me, and I'd been the idiot funding the show. I thought back to all the signs I had swallowed. The sudden late nights at the gym. The phone always flipped face down. The new lingerie she never wore for me. The way she laughed a little too hard at her messages and then locked her screen like a prison door. Every time I tried to bring it up, she unleashed the same script. Jake, what is wrong with you? Do you hear yourself? You sound insane. You're so controlling. It's embarrassing. She didn't just lie. She made me feel guilty for noticing. That's the part that makes a woman truly dangerous. Not just the betrayal, but the way she rewrites reality and then stares you in the eyes like you're the problem. At 3:12 a.m., she suddenly rolled over and threw an arm across my chest, half asleep, like some picture-perfect loving wife. Her hand rested right over my heart, the same one she just stomped on in her dreams. I looked at her face in the dim glow from the hallway. Peaceful. Innocent. The act was almost impressive. If there were awards for heartless performances, Ashley would have taken the trophy without a speech. I didn't push her away. I just lay there, memorizing the moment. The way her hair fell across the pillow. The way her lips parted slightly. The way her hand rested on me like she owned me. And in that silence, something changed. Up until then, I'd been playing defense, asking questions, doubting myself, letting her gaslight me, letting her tell me who I was, what I felt, what I misunderstood. But right then, with her whisper still echoing in my head, I stopped defending and started deciding. By morning, I knew two things. She betrayed me, and she had no idea what I was about to do next. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg for explanations from a woman who could look me in the eyes and call me paranoid while thinking of another man's hands on her. No, I was going to watch, listen, collect. If Ashley wanted to play games, she was about to find out what it feels like when the board flips. At 6:45 a.m., her alarm went off. Soft melody, too gentle for the chaos she'd planted. She groaned, stretched, then smiled at me like nothing had happened. "Morning," she said, voice sweet, eyes fake soft. "You look tired. Bad dreams." I studied her. "Yeah," I replied calmly. "You could say that." She kissed my cheek, quick and empty. "Don't overthink everything, Jake. You know how your mind gets." There it was. The script, the manipulation, the casual dismissal of my reality. I watched her walk to the bathroom, humming, swaying her hips like she was auditioning for someone else. My hands were still. My breathing was slow. If she thought I was paranoid before, she hadn't seen anything yet. The thing about being called paranoid for months is this. Once you finally see the truth, you stop ignoring the little things. That morning, Ashley moved around the bedroom like it was just another Tuesday. She grabbed her phone from the nightstand, glanced at the screen, and for half a second, her fake smile flickered. Most people wouldn't have noticed. I did. "Who's that?" I asked casually, pulling on my shirt. She didn't even look up. "Work emails, Jake. You know, those things productive adults get." "Nice." A little jab before breakfast. I tied my tie slowly, watching her in the mirror as she typed something on her phone with both thumbs. Fast. Invested. Then she turned the screen slightly away from me, almost out of habit. "Gym tonight?" I asked. "You going with, what was his name again?" "Your trainer." She rolled her eyes so hard it was almost theatrical. "Oh my God. Are we seriously doing this again?" "Yes, I'm going to the gym." "No, I'm not running off with my trainer." "No, I'm not secretly living a double life." "You done? Or do you want to accuse me of having a secret family too?" The thing with Ashley is that she didn't just lie. She lied with attitude. Like telling the truth would be a downgrade. I gave her a small smile. "Just asking." "Yeah. Well," she snapped, grabbing her bag. "Maybe try trusting your wife for once. Unless you like sounding like a clingy teenage boyfriend." She left the room smelling like expensive perfume and cheap respect. I didn't follow her downstairs right away. Instead, I sat on the edge of the bed, letting the previous night loop in my head. Her whisper, his name, the tone, Tyler. The more I thought about it, the clearer my next step became. If she wanted to treat me like the crazy husband, fine, I'd play the part. On the surface. But underneath, I was done guessing. I was done asking her to hand me the truth she'd clearly buried. I was going to dig it up myself. Downstairs, Ashley was already scrolling through her phone at the kitchen island, pretending to half listen to the morning news. Her coffee sat untouched. She never drank it when she was anxious. "How's your day looking?" I asked, grabbing my keys. "Busy," she said, eyes glued to her screen. "Meetings, calls, maybe dinner with the girls after the gym." "I don't know yet." "Which girls?" I asked. She sighed loudly, finally putting her phone down. "Why do you need names? You gonna check attendance or something?" "Relax. Just curious." She smirked, that sharp little smirk that always came out when she thought she'd scored a point. "Curiosity doesn't look good on you, Jake. Confidence does. You should try it." I leaned in and kissed her on the forehead. "You're right," I said softly. "I should." The look in her eyes wavered for half a second. She wasn't used to me not arguing back. She wasn't used to calm. Good. On my way to work, I didn't go to the office. I went to the gym. Not inside. Not yet. I parked across the street and just watched. The big glass windows displayed people running from their lives on treadmills and pretending it was fitness. I checked the posted schedule. Classes. Trainers on rotation. Names. There he was. Tyler James, personal trainer, strength and conditioning. Perfect smile on the poster. Perfect jawline. The kind of guy who lives in sleeveless shirts and call yourself bro energy. I took a picture of the poster and saved it to a hidden album on my phone. Then I went back to the car and sat there, thinking, if Ashley was really just working out with him, fine. After everything I'd heard, I didn't believe that for a second, but I wasn't going to be the idiot showing up with nothing except hurt feelings and a bad story. I needed proof, not suspicions, not sleepless nights. Proof. At lunch, I didn't meet my coworkers. I met a guy named Daniel instead, an old friend who'd gone from hacking school Wi-Fi to IT security consultant, which is basically the same thing with better shirts. He listened quietly as I told him the sanitized version. My wife's acting strange. I think she's talking to someone. I need to know for sure. No divorce lawyer yet? He asked. Not until I have something solid. He studied me for a second. You really want to see it? Because once I help you, there's no going back. You get answers, you also get scars. I thought of Ashley whispering Tyler's name like a prayer. Yeah, I said. I'm already bleeding. I might as well know why. He nodded. All right, I can't break laws for you, but I can show you what you're allowed to look at. Cloud backups, shared devices, patterns, metadata. People leave footprints everywhere. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than confusion or anger. I felt focused. When I came home that evening, Ashley greeted me with fake warmth and bright lipstick. You're home early, she said. No late meetings? Not today, I replied. You heading to the gym? She grabbed her water bottle. Yep, don't wait up. Might grab a drink with the girls. The same girls you still won't name? I asked lightly. She laughed in my face. You're cute when you pretend not to be jealous. She kissed my cheek, grabbed her keys and walked out. As the door closed behind her, my phone buzzed with a new notification from Daniel. One line. Check the shared cloud. You're not crazy. You know that moment when the air changes, when the world feels the same, but you don't? That was me, standing alone in my kitchen, staring at my phone, Daniel's message burning into my skull. Check the shared cloud. You're not crazy. I didn't move for a full minute. My hands rested on the counter, my jaw clenched, while something inside me, whatever was left of the man who believed Ashley's lies, quietly died. I walked upstairs, every step heavier than the last. Our bedroom felt colder. The bed, the nightstand, the makeup scattered across the dresser. Everything suddenly looked staged, like props in a life that wasn't mine anymore. I grabbed Ashley's old tablet from the drawer. She hadn't used it in months, or so she said. Powered on without a password. She had laughed when I asked her once why it didn't have one. Because I trust you, she'd said. Right? Trust. The home screen loaded. I tapped the cloud app. A shared folder popped up, Fitness Journey, which I'd once believed held gym schedules and meal plans. Stupid. I opened it. There they were. Pictures first, then videos, then voice messages. Not explicit. She wasn't that careless, but intimate in a way that made me want to set the house on fire. Photos of her at the gym with Tyler, leaning close, her smile too wide, his hand too familiar. Screenshots of conversations, inside jokes, private emojis, plans that didn't include me. She'd renamed him in her contacts. Not Tyler, not even his initials, just a single letter T. Smart, simple, deceptive. My heartbeat was slow, calm, too calm. It scared me. Then I found the voice notes. I pressed play. Ashley's voice filled the room, soft and breathy. I hate how he thinks he knows me, like he owns me. You're different, Tyler. You make me feel alive. Alive. I sat down because my legs wouldn't hold me anymore. She continued. He suggested we go on a trip. Can you imagine? A weekend away with someone who has the emotional range of a toaster. I swear. Sometimes I think he likes my paranoia more than me. I paused it. Paranoia. She'd weaponized that word so many times. I almost forgot what it meant. I used to doubt myself. Now I doubted her sanity. I closed the folder, sat still. A memory flashed in my mind. A stupid, tiny moment. A few weeks ago, she'd looked at me across the dinner table and said, "You don't inspire me anymore, Jake." I thought she was just bored, restless, lost. Turns out she was already looking elsewhere for inspiration. My hands shook, not from fear, but from clarity. Ashley wasn't a confused woman who made a mistake. She was a performance artist in betrayal. I stood up, grabbed my jacket, and left the house. I needed air that wasn't poisoned by her perfume and Tyler's ghost. Outside, the evening was quiet, but my thoughts weren't. I sat in the car, dialed Daniel. He answered on the second ring. "So, she's been talking to him?" I said flatly. "Not just talking, planning, comparing me to him, mocking me." He exhaled softly. "I'm sorry, man. You want more. More. What a stupid word. As if more pain was something you choose." "Yes," I said. He hesitated. "Look, Jake, I've seen guys break when they get the whole picture. You sure you want to keep digging?" I looked at the house, our house, that suddenly felt like a stranger's property. "I'm not digging," I said. "I'm excavating. The truth's been buried under her lies long enough." Daniel paused. "I can help you track her location. Legally. Connected accounts. Fitness app sync. Her phone leaves breadcrumbs everywhere." Breadcrumbs. Of course she did. People like Ashley don't cheat quietly. They cheat loudly, confidently, like the world owes them applause. "Send me everything," I said. He agreed. "Jake," he added before hanging up, "don't lose yourself in this." Too late. When I returned inside, the silence wasn't silence anymore. It was a countdown. I poured myself a glass of water, stared at my reflection in the microwave door, and whispered something I hadn't said out loud until now. "She thinks I'm paranoid. She has no idea." My phone buzzed. New location detected. Ashley, 7:42 p.m., Iron Core Fitness. Of course, she wasn't with the girls. She wasn't at dinner. She was training. Training for her exit from our marriage. I grabbed my keys. Not to confront her. Not yet. The difference between a paranoid man and a prepared one is simple. One reacts, the other plans. Ashley had turned me into the latter, and she didn't even know it. I didn't drive straight to the gym. That would have been too obvious, too emotional, too human. And whatever I was becoming now, it wasn't the man who begged for explanations. That version of Jake died somewhere between her whisper and that cloud folder. Instead, I drove to the parking lot across the street. The same spot I'd sat in earlier, only now I wasn't guessing. I was hunting. The difference was electric. My pulse wasn't frantic anymore. It was steady, calculated, almost chilling. Iron Core Fitness was lit up like a stage. People moved behind the glass windows, running, lifting, pretending their lives weren't collapsing elsewhere. I checked my phone. Ashley's location didn't move. She was still here. For a moment, I stared at the entrance, imagining her inside, laughing, sweating, whispering, existing in a world where I was a burden and Tyler was her oxygen. It was surreal, loving someone who didn't just stop loving you but turned loving you into a joke. I leaned back in the seat, closed my eyes, and replayed her lies. Not because I wanted to torture myself, but because I wanted to understand the machinery of her betrayal. Ashley didn't cheat impulsively. She curated it. She planted doubts about me long before Tyler ever touched her hand. "You're too intense. You're too serious. You don't make me feel young anymore. You always think something's wrong." She was priming the narrative, preparing her exit, making sure if things blew up, she could point at me and say, "See? He caused this." That's what real manipulators do. They poison the truth before anyone drinks it. My phone lit up again. Daniel. Daniel found synced messages. Not explicit, but enough. "Want me to forward?" Me, send everything. Seconds later, screenshots filled my screen. "Ashley. He's suffocating me. You understand me like no one ever has. Sometimes I think Jake's only purpose is to prove how wrong I was choosing him. You make me feel alive, Tyler. Alive. Again." She loved that word. Funny how people use alive when what they really mean is reckless. Then I saw the line that flipped something primal inside me. "Ashley, I dream about you every night. even when he's right next to me. I didn't throw the phone. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, letting the sentence carve its initials into my bones. She wasn't just sleeping beside me anymore. She was sleeping over me, crossing boundaries in her mind long before she crossed them in real life. I locked my phone and looked at the gym again. Tyler stepped outside, tall, confident, sleeveless shirt, phone in hand. He glanced around, unaware that the man whose marriage he was dismantling was 20 yards away watching him breathe. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't the villain. He wasn't even smart enough to realize he was a pawn in Ashley's world. She was the architect. She was the puppeteer. He was just convenient. Tyler lit a cigarette, exhaling like someone who believed he deserved everything he touched. He leaned against the wall, scrolling through his phone with that aggressive casualness men use when they think the universe is on their side. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Daniel. Daniel, want to know something crazy? She cleared her browser history every day, except one. A file appeared. A search query. How long before a man notices emotional withdrawal? I felt something dark smile inside me. She wasn't cheating because she fell in love. She was studying it, crafting it. She wanted me to notice but not understand. She wanted confusion, not clarity. That wasn't neglect, it was cruelty. My phone buzzed again. This time, a new notification from Ashley's fitness app. Heart rate spike. 8:09 p.m. Shared workout detected with Tyler James. Heart rate spike. I almost laughed. Technology doesn't lie. People do. Tyler flicked his cigarette, turned, and headed back into the gym. The door closed behind him, sealing in whatever fantasy they were building together. I didn't follow. Not yet. Tonight wasn't the night I confronted them. Tonight was about confirmation, evidence, control. Ashley thought I was paranoid. Someone lost in shadows, chasing ghosts. But paranoia is guessing. What I had now wasn't a suspicion. It was a map, a schedule, a trajectory of betrayal. And the most dangerous man in the world isn't the one who's hurt. It's the one who knows exactly why he's hurt and hasn't reacted yet. I put the car in drive. As I pulled away, I whispered into the dark. She thinks this is her story. Then I smiled cold, sharp, real. She forgot I know how to write endings. And I wasn't done writing. When I drove home that night, it wasn't rage steering the wheel, it was precision. Anger is sloppy. Betrayal is surgical. And I wasn't going to be the fool who stormed into a gym shouting accusations like a broken man begging for attention. No, I wanted something Ashley couldn't twist, couldn't gaslight, couldn't blame on my paranoia. I wanted the truth to scream louder than she ever had. The house greeted me with silence. No lights on, no warmth, just the echo of all the lies she layered into these walls. I sat in the living room without turning anything on. I didn't need comfort. I needed clarity. I opened the laptop, Ashley's laptop. She thought she wiped everything. She thought deleting messages, clearing histories, and renaming Tyler to T turned her betrayal into a scavenger hunt I wasn't smart enough to finish. What she forgot is this. A guilty person never deletes everything. They delete what they're afraid you'll find first. And the most dangerous clues are the ones they forget. In the shared cloud were drafts, notes she'd typed into her phone and saved automatically. Not meant for me, not meant for anyone. Thoughts, confessions, fragments of a woman who believed she deserved the world while offering a handful of ashes in return. I clicked the most recent note. I think Tyler understands me. He listens. He doesn't question me. He lets me be who I want. Jake suffocates me. He tries to be perfect, but perfection is boring. I stared at the screen, and something inside me shifted. It wasn't sadness. It was the realization that the version of me she destroyed wasn't who I actually was. She hadn't outgrown me. She'd misjudged me. Ashley wasn't chasing passion. She was running from accountability. I scrolled. Sometimes I want Jake to find out. Then I won't be the bad guy. He'll finally leave and I'll be free. My fist tightened around the edge of the laptop. She wasn't trapped. She wanted escape without guilt. She wanted a clean image while burying a dirty truth. Then the next sentence did it. Maybe Tyler and I should go away for a weekend. I could pretend it's a girl's trip. Jake wouldn't question it. He never questions me enough. Never questions me enough? Interesting. Ashley had spent months lecturing me for questioning her at all. The truth wasn't that she hated suspicion. It was that she hated suspicion without proof. She wanted to be caught eventually, but only when she controlled the narrative. Too bad for her. That narrative wasn't hers anymore. My phone buzzed. Daniel again. Daniel, just sent you something. Check your email. I opened it. A tracking log. Ashley wasn't only visiting the gym. There were other locations. Repeated ones. A hotel. Park. A restaurant 2 towns over. Each one timestamped. Cross-referenced. Patterns forming like constellations. This wasn't an affair in progress. This was an affair with chapters. And I'd walked in halfway through the book. I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. Once the shock fades, betrayal becomes educational. You learn what blindness costs. You learn what silence creates. You learn who someone is when no one is watching. I wasn't angry that Ashley cheated. I was angry that she'd made me doubt myself for noticing. I was angry she'd poisoned reality and served it back to me. I was angry she thought I would break instead of adapt. The front door opened. Ashley stepped in, fake exhaustion already on her face, ready to perform her role as the hardworking woman with a clueless husband. Her keys jingled. She tossed her shoes aside like she was shedding responsibility. "Hey," she said, voice sugary enough to rot teeth. "You're up. Thought you'd be asleep." I turned the laptop toward her. Not the screen, just the gesture. Her eyes flicked to it. Not scared. Not guilty. Annoyed. She smiled like a wolf in pearls. Still invading my privacy? That was her talent. Turning her crimes into my flaws. "I wasn't," I said calmly. "But I should have started sooner." Her smile slipped. Just a little. She stepped closer. "Jake, you're doing it again," she sighed. "You're spiraling. You're building stories in your head." I held up one finger. Small, quiet, deadly. "Don't," I said softly. Something in my tone made her freeze. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I didn't beg. I just looked at her like she was finally visible. Her pupils tightened. Her breathing shifted. For the first time, Ashley wasn't performing. She was reacting. "Good. I know more than you think," I said. "And less than I will." Her jaw clenched, a flicker of panic breaking through the paint of her arrogance. She tried to recover. "Jake, if you're trying to scare me." I smiled. Not kindly, not warmly, not like her husband. "Scare you?" I whispered. "Ashley, I haven't started yet." For the first time since this nightmare began, I wasn't drowning. I was swimming. And Ashley? She had no idea she was walking into the deep end. Ashley didn't speak for a moment. She just stood there, frozen in her expensive leggings and fake confidence, barely blinking. That tiny hesitation, barely a second, was all the confirmation I needed. She wasn't confused. She wasn't offended. She wasn't hurt. She was caught and she knew it. But here's the thing about people like Ashley. Guilt is not their enemy, exposure is. She didn't panic because she betrayed me. She panicked because I finally stopped believing her version of reality. Her mask cracked, then shifted into something colder, sharper. "What exactly do you think you know?" she asked, crossing her arms like a prosecutor preparing for trial. Not "what are you talking about?" Not "why are you saying this?" Not even a fake tear. Just a challenge. Ashley wasn't a bad liar. She was a professional. I leaned back in my chair. My heartbeat didn't race. My voice didn't shake. The calm I felt terrified her more than any accusation ever could. "I know enough," I replied. "And soon, I'll know everything." She scoffed, but it wasn't confidence, it was fear wearing lipstick. "You're acting insane, Jake. You're digging for something that doesn't exist." She took a step closer, lowering her voice like she was about to seduce a confession out of me. "You're letting your mind ruin us." I laughed once, quiet, sharp, humorless. My mind didn't ruin anything. You did. The day you decided honesty was optional. Her eyes flashed, not with regret. Ashley didn't have the emotional hardware for regret, but with irritation that her control slipped. You know what your problem is? She snapped. You want everything perfect. You think if you love me enough, I'll worship you like some desperate fantasy. Guess what? Real life isn't your little fairy tale. There it was, the venom she kept behind her pretty Instagram smile. I stood and stepped closer, close enough to see the flicker of panic hiding behind her arrogance. No, I said quietly. It's not a fairy tale. Fairy tales have villains who admit they're villains. You don't. You commit the crime and then complain that the evidence is inconvenient. Ashley's lips tightened. She wasn't losing control. She was recalibrating. Her next line came out like she practiced it in front of a mirror. If you spent half as much time being a husband as you do snooping around, maybe I wouldn't feel so alone. There it was. The golden script of cheaters everywhere. It's your fault I betrayed you. I tilted my head. Lonely? You whispered another man's name while sleeping next to me. That's not loneliness. That's rehearsal. For the first time in months, she had no comeback. She blinked, swallowed hard, and tried to smile, but her lips trembled slightly. A tremble, not sadness. Recognition. She finally understood. I was done being the blind man in her circus. I walked past her toward the hallway, and she followed like a shadow trying to attach itself again. Where are you going? She demanded. To think, I replied. Something you should try without someone else's voice in your head. She grabbed my arm. Not gently, not lovingly. Possessively. You can't walk away from me like this, she hissed. We talk about things. We work things out. I looked at her hand, still clutching me like she owned me. You had months to talk, I said. You chose silence. You chose whispers. You chose him. Ashley's eyes hardened. You don't even know what you're accusing me of.
Oh, Ido, he answered.
I just haven't decided how loudly I want to say it yet. That scared her more than any proof ever could. She let go, exhaled, and shifted tactics instantly. A new mask. Her voice softened. Her eyes watered, almost believable. Jake, I love you, she whispered. You're the only man who's ever cared about me like this. I'm sorry if I made mistakes, but you're hurting us for nothing. There it was, the final weapon. Affection as anesthesia. She wanted me calm, predictable, numb. I stepped closer, slowly, until our faces were inches apart. If you loved me, I whispered, you wouldn't need rehearsals. Her breath caught. Her eyes widened. She finally saw it. I wasn't the man begging for truth anymore. I was the man who already had it. And that terrified her more than being exposed. I walked past her again, this time without pause. Ashley didn't follow. She didn't speak. She didn't breathe loud enough to be noticed. For the first time since this nightmare started, she didn't control the room. At the top of the stairs, I turned and said the one sentence she never expected. This isn't the fight, Ashley. This is the silence before it. Her face paled. Mine didn't, because unlike her, I didn't need lies to feel alive. And the next part of this story wasn't going to be whispered. It was going to be witnessed. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was afraid of what Ashley might whisper again, but because sleep felt like a luxury I no longer wanted to share under the same roof as her lies. I sat in my office, door closed, laptop open, tracing patterns in her betrayal like a detective learning the language of a crime scene. Some men find comfort in denial. I found purpose in clarity. Around 3 a.m., I heard her footsteps in the hallway. Slow, cautious, like she was approaching a wild animal she wasn't sure was asleep. She stopped outside my office door but didn't knock. She stood there for a full minute, breathing softly, listening. She wanted to know if I was furious, if I would explode, if I was still operating under the emotional rules she understood. But rage is predictable. Silence is terrifying. Eventually, she walked away. Around 7 a.m., sunlight leaked into the room. I hadn't moved. I didn't feel tired, not mentally. My mind wasn't foggy. It was sharpened, like betrayal was caffeine. I heard Ashley downstairs bustling around the kitchen, making noise on purpose. People like her don't handle silence well. It creates too much room for truth. She needed sound, distraction, noise to control the atmosphere. I walked downstairs. She looked up from her mug, plastering on a smile so sweet it should have come with a health warning. "Morning," she said, voice light, as if last night never existed. "I made coffee." She placed a cup in front of me like an offering. I didn't touch it. She noticed. "Jake," she began, tone shifting into rehearsed sincerity. "I know things got intense yesterday. Maybe we both overreacted. We're tired. Work is stressful. Marriage is." I raised a hand. Just one. She went silent instantly. I didn't yell. Yelling gives power to the lie. Calm forces the truth to squirm. "I didn't overreact," I said. "You underestimated me." She blinked, her eyelids fluttering like malfunctioning shutters. "Jake, I told you, there's nothing going on. You're obsessing over." "You said I was paranoid," I interrupted. "Paranoia is believing something without evidence. I have evidence." Her lips parted, but no words came out. She wasn't shocked by the truth. She was shocked it finally had a voice. She recovered quickly. "If you think scrolling through my private things gives you some right to accuse me." "Oh, Ashley?" I whispered, leaning forward slightly. "I didn't scroll through your private things. You handed me the spotlight. I just turned it on." Her brows tightened, confusion and fury wrestling under her skin. "You don't know what you're talking about," she snapped, but her voice cracked. Not a fracture of guilt, a fracture of control. That was when my phone lit up on the table. A notification. From Daniel. Ashley couldn't see the message, but she saw the screen light up and her face drained of color, like her lies recognized the executioner approaching. Her voice trembled. "Jake, what are you doing?" I didn't answer. I opened the message. "Daniel, pulling records. There's more than messages. There are transactions, purchases, hotel bookings, shared rides. You ready?" Ashley saw my expression shift, not emotionally, but strategically. Her breath faltered. "Jake," she whispered, "you don't understand." I looked at her, and this time I really saw her. Not the woman I married, not the woman I loved, not the woman I defended. Just a person who mistook my heart for a doormat. "You're right," I said. "I didn't understand. But now I do." She reached for my arm again, desperate, the first real fear in her eyes since this whole thing began. "Jake, please, don't throw away everything we have." Everything we have. It almost made me laugh. I didn't throw anything away. She handed it to someone else. "Ashley," I said softly, "I'm not the one who ended this marriage. I'm the one who finally noticed." Her mouth opened and closed like someone drowning in her own excuses. Before she could speak, my phone buzzed again. Another message. One line. "Daniel." The hotel bookings were under her maiden name. She wasn't sloppy. She was confident. I placed the phone on the table, turned it toward her, and let the weight of those words land. Ashley went pale, truly pale. Her act was collapsing. Her script no longer applied. Her audience wasn't clapping. She whispered, almost inaudible, "You set me up." I shook my head. "No, you set the fire." I just stopped pretending I didn't smell the smoke. Her knees softened, just a fraction, but enough to tell me something beautiful. She finally realized the truth wasn't chasing her anymore. It had caught her, and I was no longer the man standing in the flames. I was holding the matches. Tomorrow wouldn't be destruction. Tomorrow would be decision, and she was no longer part of mine. Ashley didn't crumble the way guilty people do in movies. She didn't fall to her knees or beg for forgiveness. She stood there like a statue carved from arrogance and denial, trembling not because she was sorry, but because she finally understood something terrifying. I wasn't going to save her this time. For years, I had been her emotional safety net. No matter how condescending she was, no matter how dismissive, no matter how cruel her words became, I caught her fall every single time. I patched the wounds she inflicted, carried the weight she refused to name, and convinced myself love meant endurance. But betrayal doesn't kill love. It mutates it, sharpens it, turns it into something unrecognizable. Ashley stared at my phone as if it were a loaded weapon. In a way, it was. Not because of the messages or the bookings or the data, those were just receipts. The real bullet was this. She no longer owned the narrative. "You can't do this," she finally whispered, her voice paper-thin. "You can't just leave." I almost smiled. That was her biggest fear, not losing me but losing control. Leaving wasn't the hard part. Staying had been. "I'm not leaving," I replied quietly. "I'm ending." She blinked, confused. Ending didn't fit in her world. Ending meant consequence, and she lived like actions were optional. "What do you mean?" she breathed. I picked up my phone, scrolled through Daniel's documents, timelines, messages, bookings, screenshots. The truth laid out like a crime scene. "I mean, I'm not arguing anymore," I said. "I'm not asking. I'm not explaining. I'm done being the version of me you could manipulate." Her face twitched, fear masked as indignation. "Jake, we can fix this. Couples come back from worse." I shook my head. "Cheating isn't the problem." She froze. "It's the disrespect," I continued. "The way you made me doubt my own mind. The way you treated my loyalty like a flaw. The way you rehearsed someone else's name while I was lying inches away." Her eyes glistened. Not from guilt, but from panic that the performance was ending without applause. "You're overreacting," she murmured. And that was it. Those two words weren't an excuse. They were confirmation. Ashley never loved me. She loved the version of herself reflected in my loyalty. And the moment that reflection cracked, so did her attachment. "I'm filing for divorce," I said. She opened her mouth, ready to unleash venom, but I lifted my hand again, silencing her with a gesture so small it stripped her of power. "And Ashley," I added, voice steady, "this time you don't get to paint me as the villain. I have proof. Not to destroy you, but to liberate me." Her breath hitched. "You think I care about Tyler?" She spat suddenly, switching weapons mid-sentence, claws out. "You think he's my future? He's not. He's fun. He's exciting. He's—" I didn't flinch. "That's the difference between us," I interrupted. "You chase excitement. I build stability. One lasts. The other eventually trips and falls." Her face contorted. Rage, fear, humiliation, realization, all hitting at once. "You'll regret this," she hissed. I smiled, not cruelly but truthfully. "No. I regret not seeing you sooner." Silence swallowed the room. Ashley wasn't special anymore. She was ordinary, predictable, disposable in the way all illusions eventually are. I walked toward the door, keys in hand. She stood there, a monument to her own mistakes. At the threshold, I paused and delivered the final line. The real ending she never rehearsed for. "You called me paranoid. Turns out, I was just paying attention." The door clicked shut behind me. Not dramatically, not angrily, just permanently. What I learned. Betrayal isn't when someone cheats. Betrayal is when they make you doubt your sanity while doing it. Men aren't destroyed by lies. They're destroyed by the belief that they deserve them. And once that belief dies, so does the version of you they controlled. Advice for anyone in my position. If something feels wrong, it is. If someone makes you doubt your instincts, they're defending a truth they hope you'll never find. And the moment you stop asking questions, they stop rehearsing answers. Choose yourself. Every time. Because someone who can whisper another person's name in your bed has already left. Long before you get up to follow.